I'm Clayton.
And I'm Darren.
And it's another episode of Gone Kayaking. And in this show, we're going downwind. We're self-rescuing. Kind of. And we're catching some surf. All of this, though, was very dependent on the weather.
So we were looking for a good wind. Here we had 26 knots from the southwest straight along the western Solent. As it actually happened on the day, it was up over 30, which was pretty good.
And the plan was, as you did, was to launch from...
We were launching from Keyhaven here, up by, you can see the little crabbing bridge and by the shingle spit. And the boats were actually launching themselves there, even though there's some shelter from the shingle. So the first thing we can see here, we've got the wind on the beam at this point.
On the beam?
On the beam, absolutely.
Jargon, people, jargon alert. Whoop, whoop. What does on the beam mean?
Earth on the side. Just sounds cooler. So, what you can see though, we're actually struggling to keep the boat in a straight line, even with the rudder deployed, paddling quite hard. Until you get a good speed up, the rudder actually wasn't fighting against the wind. And that's a bit of a feature of the hull design on the Valkyrie and the Octane. And what we can see here, we're actually making 4 knots downwind without paddling. This is inside the river, so there's no tide assist at all. That was just wind pushing us along.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That makes for an easy start, doesn't it?
It's definitely easy.
I will just point out to viewers that once again, I wasn't there, but I had a really good reason. Because I was at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, so I guess that trumped this for once.
Yeah, you might think so. Never mind. We were having fun kayaking. We're out in the open water now, so we're out of the river thanks to the marvels of video editing we soon put out of the river there. We were still fairly close to the shore, so the waves weren't massive, and this was the first time we'd done this sort of downwind leg, and we were still being a bit timid with the boats really, but we were still catching some waves. We were still in double digits in knots.
So getting a good speed and with the wind behind, it looks kind of gloomy and grey. Temperature-wise, what was it like?
I forget exactly, but it would have been teens, mid-teens, something like that. It wasn't terrible. Water's still warm this time of year as well.
Won't give you too much of a shock when you go in.
No, not at all.
Not that you're going to go in, but you are going to go in.
Indeed. So yeah, we paddled along this way, and then as we got in towards Lymington, we turned into the marshes there, and we decided once we out of the worst of the wind, we did some rescues just for the heck of it, because Captain Chris hadn't done any rescues in his Octane, or out of his Octane, and I hadn't done many rolls in the Valkyrie at that point.
What's the feeling like when you've got that kind of a wind behind you?
You do just feel like you're going downhill. It's you can see the wake in the water there. You've got a good speed up, and there's not really much to stop you. You just do a few power strokes to catch a wave, and you can sit on it for as long as you fancy. And these are still quite small waves. If we'd gone another half mile or mile or so to the right here, we would have been out in the main channel, and things get a bit bigger still.
And how was Captain Chris's SURFSKI doing in comparison to your Valkyrie?
He was absolutely fine. I mean, he was catching waves. I think he was probably still being a little bit cautious with it, but we'll see later on in this video that he soon gets cocky and he's off in some big waves.
Now this is self-rescue. It didn't just happen to fall over.
No, it was intentional, this one, but it partly shows the benefits of the kayak over the SURFSKI. I mean, this was a successful self-rescue, but it's quite a long-winded process, really.
It's a bit cumbersome, isn't it? But he's got he's got dry top on and wetsuit on, ready to get wet anyway because it's a sit-on, not a sit-in.
Exactly, but whether he'd be quite so willing in the middle of the winter is another thing. I mean, these are popular in South Africa and Australia, but in the UK they don't seem to be as widespread.
So Captain Chris did his self-rescue, and this is what it's like when you're in your sit-in. And it can be as easy as this.
Blowing bubbles.
Show off.
A little bit.
Yeah, you did make that look very easy, actually.
Sorry, I'll try harder. So the logical thing when you go out and you do this in the storm is you go out the next day as well. Well, the wind's now gone, but the waves are still there. So here we have a beach launch straight into the surf. This is from Milford-on-Sea, and from there we were heading along the coast with Captain Chris and Rosa to catch a few waves. It's towards Barton, but it's way easier to go this way than go over the cliff near Barton.
Fascinating fact, these waves were formed over 1,000 miles out in the Atlantic. It's taken 24 hours to get here. Now you get to enjoy them the next day without the wind.
Correct.
However, Rosa wasn't too keen on them, was she?
Exactly. She doesn't like the big waves, so we sent her to the spectators area on the beach.
She still had to navigate the breakers, which wasn't easy either.
She's working her way through there, but yeah, it was a little dicey to watch.
Once safely ensconced on the beach, it was time for you and Captain Chris to show your surfing skills.
Absolutely.
How much fun is it to be able to do that?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's great fun, and the Valkyrie, to be honest, it really does handle like a surf boat, as opposed to a lot of sea kayaks. It's quite a different picture once you get onto the waves.
But primarily, Captain Chris's is designed for exactly this purpose, isn't it?
It is. I mean, they're designed really for the surf that's way out offshore rather than being in here close. But obviously we're not in Hawaii or South Africa, so we have to work with what we have.
Well, there's some pretty good waves. Both of you had the boats out of the water.
Indeed, this was a cracking wave, and it was just a fluke really that we're both on the same wave with the cameras all capturing it from every angle, so it's really rude not to show this one.
Oh, that was amazing. Captain Chris looks like a pro.
Indeed, I mean he really got that one and he handled it really well. Right down low. I had to get off. If you see on the raw footage, there was actually a swimmer not far away from me, so I had to get off the wave before I speared him.
Wouldn't have been pleasant.
He wouldn't have liked it.
Oh, slow-mo, look at that! Wow.
Until Chris goes airborne.
Makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
Meanwhile, in Valkyrie land...
with your face obscured to protect the innocent.
Absolutely, yeah, big blob over the face.
Mind you have got a face fit for radio, so I've been told.
Gosh, jealous.
And this is the same view we just saw a moment ago, but from the boat itself.
Indeed, but it broke the mount, so it was quite a short moment of glory.
And this is your moment of glory.
This is my moment of glory. Well, one of them, we caught loads of waves. Actually, we dumped a lot as raw footage, but we were there for maybe 2 or 3 hours. The battery was long gone by the time we left.
Onto the beach then to meet Rosa and have a little breather before heading home. As you said, no more footage because the battery had gone as you'd had so much fun surfing. And of course, when you have that much fun, there's obviously a few bloopers.
Naturally, yeah, you've got to mess something up. Can't be right all the time.
Right, what went wrong here?
I caught one wave and sort of messed it up really. Leant back, but then I could see the next one coming. If I'd caught the next one, I'd have been too close and pushed up the beach, which I wasn't interested in. So in the process of backpedaling out of that, I ended up testing my new roll.
Excellent. Well, that worked really well. You're an expert at that. Now then, let's see what Captain Chris gets up to.
Yeah, he had a little issue. He was demonstrating again that it's a much more long-winded process to get back into your surf ski.
Yes, stick with us just for a moment because you got that quick view. Darren's went under, great, back up again in a flash. However, once you go over in your surf ski, it can take a little bit longer to get back into it again.
Yeah, and certainly if this was winter as well, I mean, he's probably going to have pretty cold fingertips and face and who knows what else.
That brings us to the end of another episode of Go On Kayaking. We hope you enjoyed it. Wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, stay safe. And we've got what coming next?
We have a whirlpool.
Subscribe, like and share if you want to see the whirlpool.
Absolutely.